Shall we begin?
Welcome, everyone, to the Enough to Keep Going podcast. This is episode 200. 200. Dun, 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 dun. Or whatever celebratory game music you want to go with at this point. But yes, on the Enough to Keep Going podcast here on the E2KG network, we have been going for 200 straight episodes, since the last time we reset. So technically we've been around longer than that in some form or another. Tao and I have been podcasting together since 2015 at this point. So, but all celebration aside, the rest of the gang is not here. So Taomaster99 is joining me tonight. How are you, Tao?
I'm doing well. 2 for 200. That's all we need.
There we go.
Yeah,
there
I forgot to mention a couple of episodes ago that I was just going through my YouTube channel and just scrolling through like my subscriptions, and I saw the old Band of Gamers. So I kind of skipped through like a couple episodes. So I was just like, wow, it's pretty crazy.
Pretty crazy or pretty rough that we were a little bit of both, probably.
Yeah.
Hopefully we're a little more smooth, a little more composed, but still just as cranky as ever. So, but tonight we've got lots to talk about. This is our GX show. This is our game experience show. Every 2 weeks here on the E2KG network, we'll talk about the games we've been playing, not only what we've been playing, some new stuff, some backlogs, but we also give ourselves some assignments because as we are parents and we like to make sure that our kids are kept busy, we like to make ourselves a little busy as well. So we give ourselves some assignments. So that's on our GX show. And every other week in the alternating weeks. Last week we had some news to talk about. Next week we'll be diving back into the deep dive episodes where we provide some industry news and analysis around the last 2 weeks of news. And this week, we had a console-ish announcement from Nintendo, which I'm sure we'll have some discussion about next week. And our Pickz Plays coming up at the end of the show, we'll also be dealing with the Switch OLED as well. So for myself, DBQhams and Taomaster, let's kick off episode 200 with our discussion around new game releases. So I should have said, Tao, let's tee off this episode because what we're going to talk about to start with is Mario Golf Super Rush on the Switch. So I've been playing a little bit, played the adventure mode, played a couple rounds of regular, have played some couch multiplayer with my kids, but you've been playing it as well. How have you been playing in terms of modes, and how are you enjoying it?
Yeah, I did. I think one like 9-hole, like just a regular play, like exhibition or whatever you want to call it. And then I jumped into the adventure mode. So I've been going through that, and I think I'm right about to get to the first like real tournament, I guess, that they're going to let us loose on. I haven't started that yet, so I think I'm about to start that now. But I did just like the practice and the kind of the little tutorials and stuff like that beforehand. But okay. Yeah, I'm liking it so far.
Yeah, and after that first tournament, then when you head to the next one, you start off with cross-country golf, and they give it a little story reason of why. But cross-country golf kind of gets into the whole, you're running all over the course, you're traversing it in ways that are not just straight down the fairway, and you're moving a little bit differently. It's still golf, and I think that ultimately that's the part where the more I play, I'm enjoying it. The more I play, I'm enjoying it. But I still wish like playing the rush modes where I'm running from my ball. I almost want to hit it and watch where it goes to see how my shot was. Right in true golf fashion, I wanna have a sense of some feedback on my shot. Where because of the rush mode, I feel like, and I don't know if you've experienced this yet, but I am not paying as much attention to my shot as I would in a normal golf game because I'm just kind of quickly I'm planning out almost my route to where the ball is going to land in terms of how to dash and try to pick up a heart, get some coins, avoid some enemies along the way. But overall, the mechanics are sound. I mean, they're a little different. I went back and played the 3DS Mario Golf World Tour as well to give some comparison. The mechanics are different. You can put a little bit more spin on things. Once you get higher clubs, you can add kind of sideways spin in multiple directions, where depending on the golf club, you have the ability to kind of hook it left or right during the swing. But you can also have up to three different segments in that, and you can make some pretty crazy shots. They don't always work out, but in terms of a kind of a goofy arcadey golf game mechanic, it makes it kind of fun. The backspin, the super backspin with the double taps of B, or the top spin of A, makes a difference in true golf fashion. So it's a solid golf game, and I don't know, the adventure mode. I feel like, and I don't know if you're feeling this, but the way I'm feeling on the adventure mode is there's a lot of, especially when you get to that first tournament, there's a lot of kind of downtime where you're kind of running around, where you have the potential to talk to people, but you're really not. I mean, you're learning a few things, but kind of it's just chatty. It's
Yeah.
filling space. Where I almost wish there was a way to just kind of quickly get to the tournament and keep on going.
Yeah, I noticed that just in the practice area. I was like, oh, there's all these people around, but it's just like, they just say like goofy stuff. So it's like, okay. Like it's just
I
kind of
mean, and
there.
some of them tell you some tips, but a lot of it is just kind of filler as well. And it's not the kind of, it's not the humorous filler like you got in Paper Mario, where the Toads had a lot of funny dialogue. It doesn't feel, and maybe this changes as it goes on, but again, I'm only in that second tournament as well.
Yeah, I mean, for right now, yeah, I mean, I kind of like it, but yeah, I kind of see where that could get kind of like, I don't want to say boring, but it's just kind of like, okay, there's a shy guy or the mole guy, it's just like, okay, well, I mean, are they really going to do anything for me once I get past like the tutorial stuff, I think past that, after you get past the first uh, tournament, I mean, I don't know if there's really anything else they need to teach you, really. I mean, I'm assuming you got all the basics down at that point, so, and I
I
haven't
think
really,
for the most part, yeah. I mean, what they teach you in the next one really is more about the change in modes with cross country golf or battle mode and different things like that.
okay. Yeah, I haven't really messed around with the spins and the curves and all that yet. I'm just trying to get used to just the game itself. So, and the rush mode, I do like it, but it seems like there's something kind of missing. Like, okay, I'm running around and maybe I can kind of bump somebody, but it's like, okay, so I mean, that's kind of it. And like, kind of like you said, like how you have to rush to the ball and then you got to hit it, and then sometimes I even forget that I have to run. I'm just kind of watching the ball, and then I notice like, toad flying by me, like, oh crap. So I got to keep, I got to get going. So it's just like, I don't know. It just seems like there's something missing. Maybe I'm assuming it would be more fun if it was actually other people that you're playing with, because I haven't played with anybody yet, any multiplayer. So I don't know. I know you said you,
Yeah, I could
you
see
played the
with a
couch
rush
co-op.
mode.
So
Yeah, the couch co-op is pretty fun. I mean, again, until playing the straight golf rush mode, it's not, there's not a whole lot of obstacles to dodge around once you get into kind of the cross country golf, where you've got different, course obstacles and different terrain, and you've got to not only climb up out of sand traps, but you've got to take whirlwinds up to different spots.
mm,
There's a little more navigation there, but it feels, and I've heard this from other places as well, and I find it to be true that the navigation aspect, the platforming aspect, feels tacked onto a golf game rather than kind of having it be a platform, like having it platform first, being able to do like triple jumps with Mario or something like that, and then having the golf, having the golf mode be attached to a platformer versus a platformer attached to a golf mode.
yeah, yeah.
But
You seem kind
I,
of
I mean,
you seem kind of like, I don't know how to say, like heavy, I guess, like as you're moving too. So, you're not running as fast as, say, like if you're in a Mario Odyssey or something. Or I'm assuming like if you have to climb or anything, it's kind of slower than a normal, Mario game or just platformer game. So yeah, I could see where that's a little tricky with these controls.
yeah, I'm enjoying it. The more I play, I'm enjoying it, but it's also caused me to go back to other golf games. Not only Mario Golf on the 3DS, but PGA 2K, and play a little bit more of that, which I'll talk about as well later. But yeah, I mean, and this is where I still really am kind of up in the air on it. Is it's fine, but there are better golf games on Switch, right? I mean, Switch has PGA Tour 2K, which is a really solid golf game on Switch. Even frame rates aside, it's pretty solid. But it's also, I mean, the thing about it is it's still approachable even with all these extra mechanics. I still find that it's very approachable for a golf game, to watch my kids play who don't get into kind of semi golf but have played lots of rounds of this and are enjoying kind of the goofiness of it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the more arcade. Like, I don't really like sim sports games all that much. I mean, too much. Um, like the base, like MLB the Show, I kind of like. It's because you can put it, you can put the difficulty and stuff down. But like kind of other games, it's like kind of gets a little daunting sometimes. So it's like, eh. But this one's like kind of right up my alley. I like the kind of like arcadey style of it. And so now,
Sorry, I'm laughing because it gets a little too daunting coming from the guy who plays competitive first person shooters. Like it's just,
it's a
it's a
different animal.
different kind of skill set,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it is. Because like we're like right now at MLB the Show, oof, I'm having some. I'm in a slump right now, like a big time slump. So it just it kind of gets my confidence down playing that game. And I go to Mario Golf, and then I'm hitting I haven't hit a hole in one yet, but I'm getting birdies and all these other stuff that I probably never would get in a regular golf game if I was playing seriously. So, but you had mentioned, well, have you gotten to the environmental stuff that happens in
I've
the
gotten to
courses?
the cross country stuff, not the battle mode yet, where you get kind of I haven't played that, which is a separate mode where you kind of have all the special attacks and it becomes a little more Mario Kart like, where you're throwing out special attacks as you traverse the
Okay.
holes and things like that.
I was just wondering if there's like stuff in the on the course that would actually not necessarily with the like with your character, but like when you're hitting the ball, will it get in, will that affect the ball itself, or is that more of just like character stuff like that's gonna like knock you out, or you have to climb something a certain way, or if there's like tornadoes going, if it hits the ball hits that, if it's gonna like fly off or something like that.
Yeah, I mean there are tornado spots that do impact the ball.
Okay.
Sometimes there's other kind of Mario enemies kind of moving up and down like little beetles up and down on the course. So those create new obstacles that you're trying to avoid, hit over, or maybe you're going to lay up a little before that so
Okay.
that you're not in front of the obstacle
It
or
kind of
the enemy.
it feels more like a mini golf game then at that point.
Yeah, I mean, right? I think there feels like a lot of even just the kind of looseness and the speed to it makes it feel a little more mini golfy
Yeah.
as well.
Not that
I'm starting to get a hang of the putting a little bit more. At first, I didn't feel it was very precise, but I'm again, I guess, which is good for the game. Like it's approachable, but there is some skill to it, and so it you have to spend a little bit of time with it to get good.
Can you go now? Maybe you could do it like in the just like the regular mode, not the adventure mode. But can you just say, "Hey, I want to just play golf," like without all the goofiness?
Yeah, yep. I'm pretty sure you can just do a regular
Okay.
straight on golf. Yeah. Yep, that's one of the modes.
All right.
So, one last question though.
Yep.
I've got it through GameFly and I'm debating on how long I keep it if I send it back, but I'm guessing you picked it up yourself? So
Yeah.
what made you pull the trigger on purchasing it?
I've always liked the sports games, the Mario sports games. So I got like the tennis and back on what was it, the Wii? I had Strikers, which is a soccer game. So I've always liked the 3-on-3 basketball. I think was on 3DS or DS. I can't remember which one. Maybe both.
Yeah, the 3-on-3 was on DS, and then
Yeah.
there was like the Sports Mix and Sluggers on Wii.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah. I've always just kind of liked the Mario, like I said, because it's more arcadey than like a straight up sim. So I've always enjoyed them. And this one,
Nice.
I could see myself playing this one a little bit more than the tennis one. I like playing the tennis one like kind of just exhibition or against somebody, but doing like the adventure mode, I don't know. I didn't. There's something just kind of off about it that I didn't like.
One other thing we haven't touched on here in the adventure mode is when you level up your character, you have stats and points where you can put into, you can put into power, you can put into speed or stamina, you can put into control in terms of hitting it straight and spin. One of the things I like about it is that there is this kind of trade-off where if you do too many times of power, you're going to drop your spin. And so you kind of have to balance a little bit. add some here, and a lot of times when I've been leveling up, I'm choosing which stat gives me less of a decrease in other areas. So I try to keep control as high as possible so I can at least hit it where am aiming. But it's kind of a juggling of getting, I'm assuming as you go through, you're going to end up leveling up everything to 10. But I like the kind of push pull of that as well.
Yeah, it's kind of nice how they you do get kind of hurt on some areas when you put something else up. It's not just like, okay, I'm gonna do all power and nothing's gonna happen to me, but there is a consequence. And you can the clubs you can buy are those affect stuff too? I believe, right? Or no? Or they have
So
some
the
kind of
ones
power
I've
or
been able to
something?
yeah, the ones I've been able to buy so far can give you extra spin, can give you extra distance, can give you better control. They give you a little bit of boosts here and there.
Okay.
I think some of the club sets that you can unlock will give you like the three different spin levels. Like you can unlock a star set of clubs, which will give you the ability to add multiple spins to it. So yeah, as you progress through, you do get some of that.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't had. I don't think I have enough money to buy anything yet. So, or at least not any clubs, at least. So.
And some of those club sets you unlock playing just with different characters, different Mario characters in the exhibition mode as well. So
Oh,
there's
okay.
different ways to go about doing that.
Nice.
So let's move from an arcadey game into another kind of arcade based game, and Space Jam: A New Legacy, the game. So this is kind of a surprise that is a free game on Game Pass. It shows up in your perks on Game Pass. It is developed by Digital Eclipse, which has done the conversions and remasters of things like Aladdin and Lion King, that package, the Mega Man collection, the Disney Afternoon collection, Street Fighter, the 30th anniversary, some of the SNK ones as well. And so they've got some programming chops in terms of having a feel for kind of arcade based games. And Space Jam: A New Legacy is really just it's a classic, it's a belt scroller. If you've played Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game, or The Simpsons, you know exactly what you're getting into. It's the double tap forward to run. There's a little bit of a combo. You can do the jump and kick, or jump and punch, jump attack. Um, it's surprisingly fun for a free kind of throwaway marketing game. And the whole story behind this is that Microsoft put out a kind of a call to the community to pitch game ideas, and they were going to choose two different game ideas and have a developer build a game around it. And so
Hmm.
not only is it a kind of a standard kind of left to right beat 'em up, but then it is also you have like a power card where you have other Looney Tune characters who, if you have the Tasmanian Devil card is your special attack. As you do damage and defeat enemies, you build up your meter to use your card. And that, like, Tasmanian Devil will come around and do kind of the traditional knock all the enemies out on the screen. He'll spin around the whole screen. You can have Granny from Tweety Bird come, and all kinds of food you know lands on the stage that you can fill up on. And so your Bugs Bunny, the female Bugs Bunny, who I can't remember her name, I apologize for my Looney Tunes lore. And then you're also LeBron James. And so you can play up to 3 players. And in addition to your punches or your attacks, you have a basketball that Tweety Bird delivers to the stage. You can pass it between people. You can charge it up. You can throw it at enemies. You can call it back to you. So it works nicely as a range attack, because some enemies, an enemy with a flamethrower, you can't really get up close, and so you need to do a charge attack to kind of knock it off and then get up and combo it. My sons and I played a couple levels of it, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's more fun than we had more fun with it than the remake of the new Battletoads. And in part, that is probably more akin to the jet bike levels of Battletoads than anything else. But it's a fun game. It's a free game, but it's well worth kind of plunking a few quarters into and playing through it.
That's Lola Bunny,
So,
by the way.
pardon,
Lola
Lola Bunny.
Lola Bunny. Yeah, I
Thank
just
you.
looked it up.
Thank you. Okay, I,
Yeah.
I I did. I was gonna ask if you knew that off the top of your
I
head,
did not know.
or if you had to look it up. Um, but so that's on Game Pass, and Tao, you've also been playing some other Game Pass games here, so why don't you run through a couple of those? One of them is just released. It's been around on PC for a while, but just released on Game Pass this week, and that's Game Beasts.
Yeah. So this is kind of I can't remember the name of the game now.
It's a co-op game.
Battle. Yeah,
Like,
it's kind of a battle game. Yeah.
yep.
What's the Fall Guys? I was trying to think of what the name of that game was. Kind of like Fall Guys. You know, there's different modes. Like there's football. There's just like a battle mode. There's melee mode, which is the only mode I played. Actually, so you gotta you keep playing these rounds, and each round you get a crown, and then you got to get 3 crowns, to win like everything, the whole match, I guess. But there's like, I think like eight people was the one game I played, and that lasted actually almost like a half hour because like everybody was winning, so I was going back and forth. I think there was even one match where there was a draw, so like nobody got anything, which was kind of weird. I'm surprised they just didn't give you a crown. But so the melee one I was doing, so you just start off like in I'm trying to think of, there was like a bunch of stages we did. We're like riding on top of trucks as they're, going down the highway. So you have to knock people off. Another stage was like in an aquarium where,
yeah, with the tentacle.
yeah,
Yep.
with the monster with the tentacle and one
Yep.
of the big aquariums and
Up on like a construction area.
yeah, construction area and just top of a building and stuff. So you have to, for that mode, you just had to throw people off. So I didn't get a chance to play the other ones, but I just saw it on there and I completely forgot I had, I downloaded it because I had seen it. I think I had actually downloaded it from my phone originally, so just set it to install. But yeah, it was actually pretty fun. Just kind of that goofy, you kind of like these blobby kind of characters that has, you can put different costumes. Most of the costumes are animals, but there are some other things, just like police officer or construction worker, stuff like that. So I'm not sure. I didn't see if you can unlock more or not, but it looks like, and
Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's any locked, but maybe you can.
yeah, and there's like a good variety too. There's like I don't even think I went through the whole thing, like without looping back around to the beginning. Like I just kind of scrolled through for like a good minute or so, and I didn't get back to the beginning. So there's a good number of costumes in there if you want for whatever you want to choose. But yeah, it's pretty fun. You can punch, you can kick, you can kind of grab people, you can throw them off that way. Most of the time, that's what people are doing, which kind of when you hit them like I think 2 or 3 times in a row, you kind of knock them down, and then you can just grab them and kind of throw them off the stage. I think a wrestling ring was another one too, so you had to throw people out of the ring, which that was kind of fun. Just kind of back to the old wrestling days. But yeah, it was actually a lot of fun. I want to definitely try some of the other modes, like the football mode and some of the other modes. So I think there was like 3 or 4 at the most. I think 4 at the
I think
most.
there's at least 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
I played soccer melee with my son and just did the 2 of us, which was pretty fun. The football mode is soccer. It's you're moving a ball, trying to get it up into the goal. A lot of times it ended up one of us trying to knock each other out and kick the ball over, or carry the other guy around on top of our heads and prevent them from moving the ball. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We played the melee mode. A lot of it boiled down to kind of grabbing somebody, trying to drag them off the stage and still hold on to the stage themselves. There's one time we were playing on a blimp and he had kind of knocked me down, but I grabbed onto the bottom of the blimp just before I would fall, and then figured out the whole like left, right, whole grabbing onto to climb my way back up onto the blimp. Yeah. So we laughed a lot and, a couple screams of agony in a close match.
Yeah, it took me probably like halfway through those matches before I figured out you can lift yourself up. I was like, oh, I saw people doing it, but it doesn't. Then I mean, obviously, there's no like tutorial or anything. You just kind of jump into games. So, and I didn't. I'm sure maybe there's an option screen where they have the controls, but I didn't see that. But I just kind of figured it out as I was going. Eventually, I kind of figured it out. So it was fun though. Yeah, it's definitely crazy when you have like 8 people trying to knock each other out. Especially,
I could see that getting crazy.
Yeah, some of those stages because some are kind of small, like the one with the truck. Like I think that lasted like about 10, 15 seconds because everybody kind of just like threw each other off and it was done. So yeah, it was kind of, I think there was one of them, I can't remember, it might have been the truck one, or I think there was one where you're like on I think it was a construction one. I don't think you're on a building though. I think, aren't you on like a crane, like holding something, like
yeah, there's one like you're on 2 different like shipping containers almost, moving back and forth between the 2.
Yeah. So
Yep.
one, I think it was that one, or either that or the semi one when you go on the highway. But like the guy went to throw me off, and he got me, but I like grabbed him at the last second, so I took him with me. So I was like, ah. So even though you lose, sometimes you can take somebody with you. So it was actually pretty fun.
It's yeah, it's a fun game, good game on Game Pass to kind of just pick up quick install and an easy couch co-op. Is there online? I think there's
Yeah, because
online.
I played online. Yeah, when I played that
Okay,
one game. Yeah.
nice. Yep.
Yeah.
And it is again Game Pass. So, but you've been playing something else on Game Pass as well.
Yes. So I jumped into Rainbow Six Siege finally
Not a
after.
very new game, but new for you.
Yes, new for me. So I'm going to bend the rules a little as we do here on E2KG. Yeah. So
So
this
the
is.
good thing about Rainbow Six is Rainbow Six Siege came out the same year that we started this newest iteration here with Bang
Yeah.
Gamers. So nice way to tie things back together in our 200th episode.
That's
Thanks,
right.
Tao.
Unintentional, but yes, tied everything back together. Yeah, so this is just a multi. This is only a multiplayer game. Excuse me. You have the what's it, 5-on-5 if everybody decides to stay in the match, which I'll get to here in a second. Just the two modes that I've seen so far. I don't know if there's more because you kind of start off and there's only like a newcomer mode that you start on, and you have to get to excuse me, you have to get to level 10 before you can move up to the unranked matches. So just doing the newcomer mode, you do a it's called bomb. Basically, there's an attacking force and a defending force. So either in some kind of house or some kind of building where you're defending these bombs if you're on the defense, and then there's the attackers who are trying to get in and just plant like a fuse. Basically, it's like a computer case that you throw down. That takes like maybe 10 seconds, maybe 15 to put down, and then there's like another, I think, 20 or 30 seconds where it's like arming the bomb basically, and then you win the match if you can get that off if you're the attackers, or you can just wipe out the whole team and win the round too. So I've been having actually I'm really liking this game, except for one thing which I'll get to in a second. You have the different what they call operators, so different kind of classes that you can pick from, kind of like an Apex. Like each person has a different gadget that you can use. You can go through like some people have like breaches where they're like certain parts of the wall you can kind of like put a like a little bomb down. It's like a little mat, and you kind of see like the fuse going around, and then it blows up
Yeah,
and
the
explodes.
breaching cord and
Yeah.
yeah. And they've added a lot of characters, given them a little backstory, very similar to what Apex has done as well over the
Yeah,
last couple
I was
years.
surprised at as how many characters they have on there. So I mean, I'm assuming like every season they probably add like one or two, probably just one because that's what they usually do in Apex and other games. But yeah, there's a lot. I think right now just the because this is only the main default game I guess that I got through Game Pass. I think I have about, and there's different ones like on the attack and defense. I think about 8 or so, maybe 10 at the most. So there's a good variety, even just with the default characters I have, and I've only played maybe a couple on each side. So I'll probably go. Want to try all of them at some point, but and some of them are more. I might maybe like defensive or kind of skills. Like you have the guy with a drone, or some guys who can like ping out when they throw down like different like little almost like grenades, but it kind of just pings the area so you can see where people are at and stuff like that. So yeah, it's pretty fun. The one problem I had, and I was talking about this in the chat, was I was playing and I everything started kind of lagging and started kind of freezing up, and then I got disconnected. So I'm okay. So maybe it was the server. I don't know. Maybe it was my connection. It could have been. I was playing on my Series X, which is just Wi-Fi. Though it could have been a connection issue, but so I'm like, all right. So I get kicked out. Whatever. I went to go back and play a game, and like instantly I was banned from playing for like 20 minutes, I think it was. Which two things. The time seems a bit excessive for like a first offense, and two, like I didn't rage quit or anything. I just I just got knocked out. I was literally in the middle of a match when kind of everything got just got borked, and we got kicked out, or I got kicked out at least. I don't know if the whole match just ended or not, but I just thought that was a little excessive to on a first offense. Like literally that was the first time that had happened, and I'm suspended for 20 minutes. Not only 20 minutes, but once I got back in, I was able to play. So after each round, you get renown, which is kind of basically their XP, or not their XP, like kind of like their currency for the game, and you get like 50% less renown when you are able to get back in the match. And I think that lasted. I think that was only for like maybe like 5 or 10 minutes or something. But still, I was like, what? Like, what is going on? Like, I mean, I get it. Like, they don't want people like just you know, quitting out on people. Quitting out on a team and leaving people for just whatever 3 and 4 or whatever however many people are left. But I was playing. I think I might have got to unranked at that point, maybe. I can't remember, but either way, it was like the very, like I wasn't playing like a ranked match or anything, so I was like, I don't know, I just thought that was a bit excessive, and I see more games doing that, and like I said, I can understand, like even Rocket League, if you quit out of a match, I think more than 2 or 3 times, maybe it might just be two, you get banned for like 5 minutes, and then if you keep doing it, I think the time limit goes up. I've only had happen a few times, and it's always just been 5 minutes, so I don't know, I don't know. I just thought it was a little bit excessive to ban me like outright right away. So, and that, obviously they can tell obviously that you quit the game, so they should have been able to tell that that was my first time that ever happened. So they could at least give you like one warning at least, but it was just boom right away. I was out. So, but I'm still playing. I jumped back in. I'm still playing it, and I'm still enjoying it. So that's another shooter of sorts to add to my repertoire of games here that I've been playing lately.
Nice. I'm glad you're enjoying it. So I do have to ask though,
Yep.
did you do a training mission so you can get your Microsoft reward points?
Yes, I did. I actually saw that. I forgot what I was doing. I think I was just looking through like the rewards at some point. I think I popped one for something else, and I was just kind of scrolling through them after I had put them in, and I was like, oh hey, there's an easy one. I was like, I just had to do a training mission. So yeah, that was pretty easy. And that the training missions are they're actually kind of cool. It's kind of like a wave based thing. As far as I could tell though, I think you're by yourself. Like I don't think the opposite team is people. I think it's just AI.
Yeah,
Um,
I've done one before as well for
okay, so it's just AI
yep.
you're going after. Okay, so yeah, so I think you can go.
Really just kind of getting the feel of the breaching and kind of diffusing and moving through spaces using your equipment.
Okay, that's what I figured because I thought it was pretty easy. I was taking the guys out with like no problem, and then they're kind of just standing there as I'm shooting them, and they're not really moving or anything. So I figured it was just AI.
All right. Well, let's move into our Pickz Plays assignment. So this Pickz Plays comes hot off the heels of E3 and all the game announcements from 2 weeks ago. So after all the announcements and all the speculation and rumors, we've had trailers and new games from developers and surprises, a lot of announcements, things that are off in the distance. So our assignment here was to go back to a developer or franchise that just had an announcement and that you're interested, excited about for its upcoming game, upcoming property, and to explore that game. So for myself, I dove into the Forza series, Forza Horizon, 4 and 3, 3 and 4 on because Horizon 5 is coming out. I also played a little bit of Motorsport 7, and all of these I played on my new Series X, which was kind of nice to see. Also, to kind of always good to put a new console through the racing paces in terms of graphics and fidelity and frame rates. Forza 3 looks pretty much the same as it does. It didn't get a Series X patch. Neither did Motorsport. Motorsport got 60 frames per second. Forza 3 looks great. I mean, shouldn't say it looks great because compared to Forza 4, it does not, but it looks solid. But it looks like, it's a game that's getting up there in years. Still plays just fine, but Forza 4 not only loads quick, but just looks beautiful. I mean, not kind of, I wish Motorsport 7 would have an X patch to really kind of push it up there a little bit. It does play really smoothly. It loads quickly, a whole lot faster. But what it really does is get me excited. Does exactly what this assignment is to see whether it gets you more excited or kind of satiates that interest in that upcoming game. And for me, playing through Forza 4, diving back in and I explored a lot, broke a whole lot of signboards, but didn't do nearly as much racing in it. And so it's been fun to go back, and it's a whole lot easier to go back now that the loading is a lot less. So
Was it
you also
was
go
it
ahead.
really bad before, like the loading? Like, did you?
So the loading on like the series, I was on a Xbox One X, and the loading to get into the world was significant. You would get title cards, different tip screens, and you would get 8 to 12, and now I get 2 to 3.
Oh, okay.
So it definitely cuts that down. Each one is a couple seconds. Going, loading up into a race after you select it, that has been cut at least in half, probably more as well. So it just keeps it makes it a whole lot easier to kind of move from one to another. I think one of my reasons why I didn't do a lot of racing is that I just wanted to kind of keep going, and it really broke up the pace, and this helps to not have that because there's not nearly as much downtime. So you're playing not only another sports game, but another Game Pass game as well, and that is Steep. So Steep is the same developers of the upcoming game Riders Republic.
Yep.
Have you played Steep? I have played it before. Have you played it before, or is this kind of your first dive into the slopes?
No, yeah, I actually had played through the tutorial. I think I got through the tutorial, and then I was just at that first mountain you get to when you start out the story, I guess if you want to call it that, or just being able to like kind of open up and do what you want after the tutorial. So yeah, so I had a little bit of playtime beforehand, and I don't know. Maybe I was in like a different mindset or something, but the controls seemed like a little bit harder for me this time. Like it didn't seem as, I don't know. Maybe I was just thinking that it was more arcadey than I thought it was, but you kind of, they actually kind of like, it's just like if you're, well, I've never actually rode on a snowboard before, but it seems like it's more kind of simmy almost, I guess you can say, because you can't just,
There's
it's not,
definitely some nuance to the controls. It's not,
yeah, it's not
this
like
is not
SSX or something.
uploaders or SSX. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, you definitely have to, pay attention to what you're doing. Otherwise, you're just gonna kind of like I did when I was first starting out. I kind of just like slid down the mountain because I couldn't just like work my way up. And I don't, as far as I know, you can't like jump off your board and just walk or anything. So I couldn't, as far as I could tell, you couldn't do that. So yeah, I had to just
No, you
restart
kind of
the
have to
race.
take a helicopter to restart, and yep.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, I gotta pay attention. But yeah, no, it was actually pretty fun. I've only done the snowboarding so far. I want to do some more of the wingsuit, or some of the wingsuit. I think you only did like one of those during the tutorial. So yeah, I definitely want to jump back into it, get into it a little bit more, and uh, get into the different kind of races and stuff like that. So seemed, trying to think. I think I got like second on all the few races that I did so far. So I mean, I just gotta get used to the controls so I can kind of figure things out and do some of the more tricks and stuff like that. So to get more into that game. But yeah, it's definitely, hopefully when Rider Republic comes out, maybe it's a little bit more forgiving, a little bit more arcadey than what I thought this was. But I'm still having a lot of fun with this one too, though. It's pretty fun since I haven't. Man, I can't even remember what the last snowboarding game I had played. So probably a few
Yeah,
consoles ago.
I've been, but I've come back to it. I usually end up. I think it was also a PlayStation Plus game at one point in time because I have it on PlayStation. So I've come back to it. Usually once a winter, I'll end up coming back to it just to satiate the kind of you know snow sports aspect of things. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's solid. It's really enjoyable, and it does for me. It makes me really interested to see what Riders Republic does as well.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see those different vehicles and everything that you can use in that thing. So, yeah, we got a few months to till that one comes out though. So yeah, but I'll stick to this one for now and just kind of get. But I'm assuming the controls are probably gonna be fairly much the same though. So try to get used to the controls just to get into it.
Well, let's stick on a Game Pass game or a game that you've talked about before as we transition out of our Pickz Plays. You and I and Game Logic played a little bit of Knockout City a couple weeks ago, and I'm guessing you've been playing more since then. So, is this last time 2 weeks ago on the podcast? You talked about really enjoying it. You picked up you purchased it on Switch as well as having it through Game Pass on Xbox.
Yeah.
You got your character to the past the free levels and you needed to unlock. And so have you kept going with it, or have you kind of burned out on it?
No, yeah, I've still been playing. I probably do like a few matches like every day or so, like every other day. Um, just because now I'm playing Siege too, so I gotta make room for all these games. But yeah, no, I'm still enjoying it. I'm actually doing a lot of the ranked matches now, because there's unranked and ranked that you can do. And so the one thing about the rank matches, as far as I could tell, they don't cycle out the modes in those ones, which I guess makes sense because it's like a league kind of a play. So sometimes I'll go back. I think they just switched out the modes in the unranked mode or matches. So I want to go back to that just because they have kind of like they'll do like normally it's just like a 3-on-3, but sometimes they'll throw 4-on-4 and just other kind of different game modes. I think the first time I had mentioned it, they had like the where you kind of collect coins when you hit somebody instead of just knocking them out. You have to get these coins, and you get 8 coins, and then you win. So it's a little bit different than just hitting somebody out, out of the match. So yeah, but yeah, I'm still enjoying it. Um, I was actually just reading, I think a couple days ago, where they had like kind of like the roadmap for the next few weeks maybe or a couple months. Just the different modes that they're going to have in there. So I definitely want to jump in there and play everything. So yeah. And I've been switching between the Xbox and Switch, and I think I mentioned this last time. Unfortunately, there's no cross progression. Not really. There's some things seem to like come across on each of them, like when I unlock them, but others don't. So it's kind of weird. I don't know how that gets like figured out in the background, or I don't know, maybe just something's not syncing correctly. But yeah, sometimes I get some stuff that I haven't, like mostly it's not necessarily cosmetics, but it's like you unlock like boosts and stuff that you can use, and like some of those boosts or I should say none of those boosts I have on my Xbox that I unlocked on the Switch. So I'm pretty sure all the costumes though, except for the stuff that I bought on the Switch, doesn't come to the Xbox. Just like the special, that was the deluxe costume that you get, and the car skin. So, but other than the battle pass stuff has all been unlocked, and I can swap between the two. So that's nice, at least I guess.
Nice. Yeah, I'm glad that it's kind of got its hooks into you and you're still playing. So that's fun. And it was enjoyable to play, kind of coordinate together as a 3-person team and kind of do some call outs as enemies were coming around and getting the hang of the timing of the catch and things like that. So
Yeah, yeah, we definitely have to play again. Maybe get Swiss in there at some point. See if we can get him playing in there.
and it's always just a 3-person, or are there different modes? Is there 2 or 4 as well? Or
There was a 4-on-4 when I first started playing. They had cycled that out, but I think it's coming back. So at some point, maybe we can try to.
that makes sense, right? They just like other things, they'll cycle it through, make it
Yeah,
I think for a week or so, or a weekend.
yeah,
Yeah.
just do like special modes and stuff like that. Yeah, I think they change every week. I believe is how they do it, which is pretty much kind of how everything else does. But yep.
Okay. I have talked about the next game lots of times last fall. I was the only one on this podcast to play Marvel's The Avengers.
Yes.
I remember you saying that you picked it up on the cheap during a sale around the holidays. You picked it up for like the right price. It was under $20.
Yep.
And so, one, how much of you, how, what do you think of it? And two, when I played it, I was playing it on a PlayStation 4. You're playing on a Series X. And so I'm really curious. That's another game where the load times in between stuff really, really slow things down
Hmm.
on the previous consoles. How's the experience on the Series X?
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I don't think I ever. Even though I bought it, I think I was like in December or the end of December. I was actually at GameFly, one of their GameFly sales that they have. I think for like $15. I actually didn't start it until like I think just a few months ago when I first started playing it. I kind of forgot about it because it was a physical game and I didn't have it actually in my system, so it was kind of off to the side and I just kept forgetting about it. But yeah, when I finally started playing, it's like I'm pretty sure it was on the X the whole time. I think if I can remember correctly. And yeah, I mean the load times. I mean just like any other game, they're super quick. So I mean that doesn't seem to be a problem for me, at least for right now. And I really like this game. At least the story mode. I haven't done any of the other games so far. The other modes, whatever. Like I guess they're like strikes.
Story mode's the best part. Story mode's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
The other ones are, I mean, they're just brawlers more or less with loot, but the story mode is pretty solid.
Yeah, it's really good. I really like it. You're playing Kamala Khan, I think is her last name, if I remember correctly, the new
Yep,
Miss
that's right.
Marvel. Yeah.
Yeah.
For the most part, I mean, you'll kind of switch in to the some of the other Avengers. I just got to the got past the Hulk part, so I'm pretty early in the game still. And I'm trying to figure out what we're doing now. I can't remember where I had stopped. I think it was just after I was able to control the Hulk for a little bit, and we got past the I think it was the Abomination fight.
The Abomination. Yep. So you
Yeah,
got Earth in there. Yeah. Then
yeah,
you'll go after. You're basically kind of reassembling the Avengers.
yeah. So I'm like back at the base there. I think it's the Chimera ship or something. I think where we're at. So I was just kind of walking around that, just kind of exploring and stuff. So yeah, but I really like the controls are really cool. I like the powers and even just from the little bit of some of the Avengers you play at the very beginning. It's just if each person feels different. It's not just the same like kick and punch, and you only get like one extra power. Like each Avenger feels really different when you're fighting with them. So that's kind of nice. It's not just kind of samey. It looks really nice on the Series X. So and even man, I can't remember. I'm just still trying to figure out if I ever played it on just the One X. I think I might have just barely started maybe on the One X, and then kind of before I switched over. But yeah, it
Yeah,
really
it looked good in 4K. I played it on the One X during the demo or a free weekend, but otherwise I've been playing on the PlayStation 4 Pro.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But yeah. But I'm really liking this, and I kind of want to get to the other because like the DLC and stuff is free, I believe. But I
Yep,
want.
the DLC is free. And once you finish story mode, you can go right into it. They're nice little stories. They're not super long. They're a couple hours, but they're a little. They're diverse compared to what you had been playing in, and there's a nice little story there as well.
Yeah, and I was actually gonna jump into not the DLC, but one of the other modes. But then it gives you like a warning saying, "Hey, there's spoilers, potential spoilers ahead." So it's like, I don't want to. Even though you said it's just kind of like brawling stuff, but I still wanted to try it out, and I was like, I got to finish the story before I get into that other mode. So
Yeah, you can jump right into the initiative mode, which basically opens it up and you're running mission after mission, and they're more like Destiny strikes or
yeah,
small incursions. Um, the real thing that it spoils is kind of everybody's back together.
yeah,
Surprise, they're all on the cover.
yeah,
Everybody's back together.
they're all alive.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, it's fine to do, but really the story is the thing I enjoyed most of it.
Yeah, and I mean, I know you get some of the loot stuff in during the story mode, and it just I don't know, like I like what they're trying to do. Like, okay, here I can build up strength, or I could put all these different parts on, like the gauntlets and the armor and all this. But I guess it's because it's the Avengers, and it doesn't like they don't want to like you don't want to have all these goofy colors or goofy costumes on the Avengers, so they don't. It's just kind of like a hologram thing that you kind of see in the menu, and then once you're in the actual game, it doesn't really show anything. So it's just like, I mean, that kind of kills it for me, in some respects. But just playing the game itself is it's just fun, anyways though. So I just kind of wish they could have. I guess it would have been kind of kind of goofy just to have like gauntlets and stuff on all these superheroes when they don't really need it technically. So I could kind of see why they didn't, actually fit any. There's no like physical aesthetic changes to your character, but it's just kind of a bummer just from playing other games like
Yeah,
that.
the holographic gear is, you miss that potential of satisfaction, but you know, I've still found the numbers went up. That's good. Like, get some purples, deconstructed a whole lot. As you finish out things and get into, over level 20, you're kind of creep up to level 50, and you're, really chasing after some of that gear. With the problems out there with Avengers have been well documented in terms of a unsatisfying end game and a grind,
Mm.
but getting up to that point, there's still a fun game there. So I'm glad you're getting a chance to give it a spin.
Yep, yep, definitely gonna continue on with it.
All right. So last week, at the end of the last week's deep dive episode, Game Logic asked me about my new purchase, which was, as you have one as well, my Series X. So I got the offer from the Xbox Insider in terms of here's your window of time to decide if you're going to buy an X or an S, depending on what you put in for. And again, you don't have to. You've got a window, and if you do, great. If not, it cycles back around, and you can jump back in another time. I jumped on board and have spent the last week or so kind of and last week at this time, I was talking about kind of playing the file management game in terms of storage size, and now I've had a chance to kind of dive in and try out a bunch of different games. So not only have I, uh, so I've played, uh, no surprise, I played some sports games. NBA 2K21. I had uh, the the next gen version of that, which is a different engine. It plays a little bit differently. My moves to the rim are a little bit. I had to relearn some things. I was missing some shots and layups that I wasn't in playing the last gen version. But it also, in the career mode, in the story mode, they've added in a whole different section where in the original, the one that came out in September on last gen, you kind of went through college and you had a story here. And then and I think that it may or may not have been planned, but because of COVID, it got delayed. That what is added into the Series X or the next gen mode is you can go into college or you can go into the G League, and then you get a whole different story aspect there. And
Hmm.
in the G League, they bring back a bunch of the different characters from 2K16, 2K18, 2K14. So you get kind of this kind of old faces that kind of cycle back through in the G League, which is kind of fun. I don't know all of them, but I have read about some of them, so I get kind of what they were doing, and it's a neat kind of send off and a neat kind of callback for fans of the of NBA of that series. But it's enjoyable and it runs butterly smooth. It looks great. Same is true, like I was saying before about PGA 2K21. That isn't optimized for the SNX, but it does have a 60 frames per second. You can go into they did a patch this spring where you can go into the settings and up it from 30 frames to 60, and that really smooth things out. It took me a few strokes to get my swing timing down because it changes a little bit, but this is where, as I was kind of trying to evaluate Mario Golf, I ended up playing ooh, 3 different rounds of PGA as well and really enjoying that. Um, Madden 21 is also a new engine, compared to the last gen, so the movement is a little different. The menus are a little different. It still brings a lot of the other stuff over, but, um, because the movement's a little different, it does take, I've been playing a lot of Madden 21 on Xbox One in a league, in a franchise, and so some of my plays still work, but the timing is off a little bit because everybody has a little bit different physics. So
Hmm.
and so that's interesting. I mean, that's been kind of fun to dabble with. It really is makes me again glad to to have the chance to kind of play around in the next gen. Madden and Destiny were the games that kind of pushed me off of 360, PlayStation 3 gen into Xbox One, and PlayStation 4. And, you know, they're nice showpieces here. Destiny running at 60 frames per second. I really, I played a little bit of Destiny on Xbox when New Light came out, but otherwise I've pretty much been solely on PC since the fall of 17 when Destiny 2 came out, because 60 frames per second on PC has been really nice. And now going back and playing it on console feels I can play around with the field of view a little bit, get a similar experience, and sit back in my chair and play as well. So that's been kind of fun to do. I did, speaking of getting our Xbox rewards points, I did install Outriders to kill my 30 enemies to get my points. And as I was saying in chat, again, I've played Outriders during the demo both on Xbox and on PC. 60 frames per second makes a big difference in terms of the fluidity and the movement. I did have to slow the camera binding down a little bit on the right stick because I was spinning way too fast and losing all my aim. Again, this problem, I mean, the Outrider still has its problems in terms of what we've talked about before, where it's kind of gears like, but not really, because you've got to be a little more aggressive and get up in order to get the healing. I I haven't really come back to it since the demo times, and I find myself enjoying it, and maybe it's because when I logged back in after all the patches and glitches and lost gear that people may fly have had during some of their patch rollouts,
Yeah.
I had a legendary weapon that kind of stringed together lightning attacks between different enemies and did some different things. And suddenly that was a lot more fun. Having a crazy gun that did things versus just a machine gun made the combat a whole lot more dynamic, a little more enjoyable. And so I have kept it installed, and I'll probably come back to it a little bit more as well now to play around. It's enjoyable. It's fluid, not only fluid because of 60 frames, but just the combat itself is fluid. So uh, it's not, it's not the Destiny killer or live service game that people hoped for, or it's kind of has a short lifespan for those that dive into those games because it's not in a live service game. In the week that we find out about Ubisoft and Assassin's Creed becoming a live service game, Outriders is not that, but it's enjoyable, and Game Pass is a great way to check it out. So, and this concludes our entire podcast about Game Pass advertisements and how much we're getting out of it. So, again, you know, it's a it's a great value if you are on Xbox, or as we're thinking about values, it's a solid value. So let's talk a little bit about a value and whether or not there's really a value in Nintendo Switch OLED. We'll save the deep dive conversation for next week on the podcast, but this is our Pickz Play coming up as well. So this week, Nintendo kind of quietly or not so quietly announced the long rumored new model of the Switch, which is really just a updated screen and a couple other features. We get a Switch that's got an OLED screen, 7 inches, so stretched out a little bit, lose a little bit of dead space around the screen. It's got a full length kickstand, kind of like Microsoft Surface, rather than the kickstand, which is actually sitting on my coffee table because it continues to fall off of my
Snap off.
Switch. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's got a network cable put into it as well. And so, but what it doesn't have is not only some type of 4K piece, but any type of processor chip upgrade, something to make it run a little faster, better, even to increase frame rates at 1080p. There's not so much that. And whether that's needed or not is come back next week, because Swiss and Game Logic will be here, and one is a serious hardcore hardware fan. So I'm very curious to hear Game Logic's breakdown of this. And then we also get Swiss, who not only is who knows his hardware, but also has his little bit of Nintendo boy fanboy heart in him as well. So be very curious to see how their conversation goes.
Yeah. I wonder if
But
things will,
for our
I wonder if
assignment,
things will
go
be
ahead.
I wonder if things will be flipped as far as arguments on next week's show.
I wonder, yeah, right? Like, and I think part of this discussion, and this is not unique to E2KG, lots of places around online and in the gaming media have been talking about who's this Switch for, what's the real value of it, um, how much of an upgrade is it? Is it worth the $50 increase? So we'll have a chance to cover all that, but what we want to cover for our Pickz Plays is, given the fact that this was kind of rumored for quite a while to have some more power, to be a little more, the Switch Pro aspect that was bandied about. What I want to do is give us the assignment of going back to pick a game or two or on Switch. Mario Golf, I've noticed some frame rate kind of chugs here and there a little bit, but it's pretty smooth. Um, but there are definitely some games on Switch where the frame rate can take a hit, whether it's in the graphics department or number of particles on screen. So let's go back into our Switch libraries, play a little bit about something that could use some additional power, or maybe take the opposite approach and play something that works just fine because of game design, because of art style, and doesn't really need a hardware upgrade. So, whether or not whatever we end up talking about on the Nintendo Switch OLED next week on the Deep Dive podcast, we'll also have a chance to come back to some Switch OLED discussions in 2 weeks from now on our next gaming show. So I know that I'll probably be playing some Mario Golf. You will probably still be playing some Mario Golf since you
Yep.
purchased it. I wanna I wanna play a little bit more of Xenoblade Chronicles, the remaster, because that when I put it up on a screen, it certainly it chugged a little bit. Handheld definitely struggles at times, just by the sheer nature of the big environments. But I don't know that it's necessarily a detriment, but so this is what the assignment is for. Is I'm gonna kind of I want to revisit that. Is there anything that you're thinking about to come back to, given this either the announcement or the assignment?
Yeah, I was probably gonna jump back into Monster Hunter Rise again and play that a little bit.
That
See
makes
how that
sense.
is.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's definitely games I can think of for both arguments, but
Right. I mean, this is the benefit of this is what hopefully we can have that discussion is how important is power is processing power to the Nintendo Switch. Like, you know, Mario Odyssey works pretty well and still sells like
yeah,
there's a reason Animal Crossing sells 30 plus million and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe gets purchased every time that somebody buys a Switch, right?
yeah.
Um,
Never see
you
another
know,
Mario Kart this generation.
right.
Probably.
Yeah. But yeah, there are other games that push it in ways where it does sometimes struggle as well.
Yeah.
So, Tao, anything else that you've been playing that we haven't had a chance to talk about?
Nothing I've been playing, but I just wanted to ask you. Now you've had what the Series X for a couple weeks or
Just about a week now, a
just
little
about a week?
over. Yep.
What's kind of your like overall just impressions of the Series X compared to the One X and the S? I guess if you had one before that.
I would say so. I had a base Xbox One, and then in 18 upgraded to a Xbox One X, and I've had that. I never had an S. But I will say that my experience with the Series X makes me very willing, especially given the Nintendo announcement, makes me very willing to be on the lookout for a Series S to put in another room because I love it. I am down on it. I mean, I'm down for it. Sign me up. I'm ready for my SSD. I have two SSDs on my PC, and that's where I install my games. So I've gotten used and spoiled to quick loading times. It's certainly nice to be able to jump into things. I appreciate the faster frame rates. It's given new life to some games, and that's been really nice as well. Even on PGA, where even without the 60 frames per second, just the increased loading times, as they're loading an entire course, or from hole to hole, there was always some lag and some load. So yeah, it is. I'm glad that I jumped on board. Um, I'm also glad that I'm on the Xbox platform, and this goes back to Game Pass. And I think the other piece of this is I've already said I'm very interested and want to put my old PlayStation 4 games into a PlayStation 5 and enjoy those same quicker load times. But I also don't want the behemoth of a PlayStation 5 console at this point, so I'll wait until a redesign. I was pretty pleased with. I thought this tower of the Series X was going to be bigger than it is. It's a lot more squat and
Yeah.
compact. It's only like 11, 13 inches high, and it's not very high. Um, and it actually tucks pretty nicely behind my TV. So it's been nice, well aerated, so that it doesn't overheat. Quiet, fast. Yeah, it is. I have been saving up for to make the jump in, and had kind of been Not sure which direction to go or kind of how long I would wait, but I knew that was kind of waiting until after E3 to see if Nintendo was going to announce a Switch Pro, a 4K Switch, something where I could throw in my plethora of Switch games and get some better performance out of it. And when that didn't happen, I was glad that uh, I'm just glad that I got the offer from Microsoft around the same time to purchase. So yeah, very enjoyable and definitely makes me more willing to jump in and out of a game or pick something up quickly and just play a little bit because I'm not spending nearly as much time loading and even just navigating menus. So
Yeah. And you bought the expansion card, didn't you?
yeah,
Or
yep, I bought the expansion card
you
as
didn't?
well. And
What was that like? 3 days and of
yeah, I think I
switching?
bought it on. I mean, it helped that I had a $50 Best Buy gift card that had been sitting around, and since I can't actually walk into a store and buy a console, um, can't walk into a store, but there's no consoles sitting in a store to buy.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, this was it knocked the price down into something a little more, a little. I mean, still expensive, but
Yeah.
in the long run, it will be, you know, it, uh, it's a price, and it is yeah. I mean, it's hard to justify. So this is where I'm hemming and hawing. Like I can't stand here and say it's a great value. I mean, it's a lazy man's perk, right?
Yeah.
It
It's a
is.
convenience.
Yeah, it is very much a convenience. I've gotten used to being able to move things off the, just a regular hard drive onto the either the external expansion card or the internal SSD. That loads a whole lot faster, after spending a day kind of moving everything from my Xbox One X internal hard drive off into uh, an external hard drive. That took a lot longer. So even just moving things back and forth doesn't take that long,
No.
but it's definitely it's a convenience fee. And so but yeah, I mean, it's nice. Yeah, I would love to play some. You know what I want to play with you? I played a little bit of Sea of Thieves. I played the first kind of pirate life mission with the new Pirates of the Caribbean thing.
Yeah.
But I know that you've played Sea of Thieves before, and this was really my first time diving into it. So haven't played I played it on the X, lots of load times. I mean, I played
Oh
it on
yeah.
the Xbox One X, lots of load times, so I'm really curious to see how that plays out on the Series X as well.
Yeah, I'll have to check
So
if I have that. I don't remember if I kept that internal or not. I might have actually moved it because I right around the time you got yours, I was moving a bunch of games around and I was trying to make room for stuff. So um, I actually had to move off Warzone because that's like a huge chunk
yeah,
of
it's like
space there.
196 or 100, it's 100 and some if it's just
Yeah,
Warzone with
yeah.
yeah.
I just put that back on my external and I kept Cold War on there on the
Okay.
internal. So because I don't really play Warzone as much as I used to, so I figured, I can move that. Yeah, and I was just moving all a bunch of stuff, just little stuff that I had on there that I wanted to move out. So yeah, sometimes it gets kind of annoying, but I think like I mentioned in the chat, it's like I don't, and even a couple weeks ago, I don't really jump around, games too much like you usually do. But when I do, it's just like, it is kind of annoying. Like I said, I want to play a certain thing, and it's like, I don't have that on the internal, but I can still play it obviously on the external. But if it's not, specifically for the Series X or S, but and even going off that external too, it's not too bad. I think the load times are a little bit faster. It's not obviously as fast as the internal, but it's still not as bad as playing it back on the One X. So, but
Yeah, no, it definitely is better. I think one of the use cases where I've been able to justify the expansion card is I really do feel like at some point I'll end up with an S in my basement, and being able to swap the card back and forth will be a benefit as well.
oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, I definitely want to get an S eventually, but obviously it's not gonna be anytime soon because they're still
No, right?
pretty
Yeah, I
hard to
mean,
find.
talk about a convenience of having, you know, why if I really wanted to play the console down in a different room, I could just detach the console and play it down in a different room. So
Yeah,
it'll take a lot of trips up and down the stairs to earn my $300. So yep. No, I again, it is it's fun. I mean, it is it. I'm still playing the same. I mean, this is my knock on it. early, and I didn't think I was gonna adopt it nearly as yeah, at this point. I thought maybe it was a holiday, maybe I was gonna wait for other big things, and, coming out of E3 and seeing what's coming up on the horizon, not only horizon, but seeing what's coming up kind of in the release calendar really made me feel like, yeah, there's a lot there that I want to play on Xbox, or that there's third party stuff that is gonna look great on a 4K TV, and having the ability to play it on something with a faster, hard drive, faster processor, all the bells and whistles will be nice. I when I signed up for the insider piece, I assumed I'd probably get a chance to get one end of summer, beginning of fall,
Yeah.
given, I don't know how quickly they're rolling things out. So I just kept saving my money, selling a few games here and there, my, you know, building up my layaway account for my new console. So I ended up having enough banked to do that and to kind of cash it in. So
Yeah, I know. I think it was a couple weeks ago, maybe it was just a week ago. And I live here in the Midwest. They actually were having some. I think just maybe just GameStop. It might have been Best Buy too. They actually had them in stores that you can actually go in and get one. So, but I mean, it's all over social media and stuff. So people are going to be jumping on that right away. But I don't know.
yeah, there was about a month ago where GameStop had a Wednesday morning where they had a shipment, or a Thursday morning where they had a
Yeah,
shipment, and there's been times where, looking here online, I can find a Series X in store to go pick up at a Best Buy. Target does the same thing where they'll put up online only things that are in store at this point.
yeah,
So, but yeah, I mean, I was glad to do I wanted to do the insider program because I wasn't in a rush. Um, and I was tired of kind of hunting down drop times and everything else
yeah,
for when something was coming back in stock. So I was ready to wait, and I didn't have to wait nearly as long as I did. And even, I mean, and you guys can attest to this in the chat, on Discord, that even when the opportunity came up, I still spent 3 days trying to figure out if I was really going to pull the trigger or not, because it is kind of hard to justify in terms of it's still playing the same games. You know,
yeah,
I I'm not losing the opportunity to not play something except for a few games. Um, but the experience of playing them, especially in the few days where I had both the One X and the Series X together on the same TV, kind of swapping back and forth as I was moving things, playing them on both consoles, the more the more that I was jumping back and forth between the two of them, the harder it was to go back to the One X.
yeah,
Like, I was playing Madden on the One X for my league because I hadn't moved it over yet, and even just menu navigations, and load times within the dashboard, it's they're small little incremental things, but when you're doing them on two different consoles so back to back like that, it really makes the differences pronounced. Like, if you don't know any better, it's the pace of the loading screen.
yeah.
But when you have the ability to compare them side by side, it really does. You feel the difference more. Or at least I did.
Yeah, yeah. I still play my One X. I actually have that on my TV, and then I have the Series X here in my kind of my game station on my monitor, and so I play back and forth. And I was amazed how just snappier the menu navigation is, especially because I have a couple different control profiles, so I like to switch back and forth depending on what I'm playing. And man, there is definitely a delay when you're doing it on the One X. Like I'm like trying to go into the accessories, and then the controller, and it's just like taking. I'm like, come on, Series X is like boom, boom, boom. You're just in there right away, so it's really nice.
Yeah, yeah. So so yeah, thanks for asking. I didn't want to spend a whole lot of time on hardware because I don't know that I have a whole lot new to say that you and Game Logic haven't already talked about. But thanks for giving me a chance to kind of have a big brain dump on my experience so far. But
Yeah,
yeah, again, it's surprising how much I'm enjoying it, how much it feels new, even though I'm playing the same stuff.
yeah,
And which in some ways makes a whole lot of sense. Like, I've done this on PC for a long time. Like when I get a new graphics card, I'll go back and install something that I'd like to play before, even though it's not really a new game. It it gets a little, spit shine to it and plays a little bit differently because of a new graphics aspect to it. So I can see where that applies here as well, which I think is going back to our Pickz Plays topic and segueing out of this show and into our next show on our deep dive. I can see where people who had been, kind of leaning into the rumors of a Switch Pro could come out of this announcement a little disappointed as well.
Yep.
So, with that, that is our 200th show in the books. Taomaster99, thank you so much. Always a good conversation. Love the fact that we've had a chance to play a few games together, like Knockout City, but also to play some of the same games, like Gang Beasts and Mario Golf, to get a chance to kind of talk about them here on the show. So, excellent, excellent. Next week, again, will be episode 201 as we turn the page into our next chapter. Will be hosted by Game Logic. Swiss will be back here. And maybe I might pop in as well if we're going to dive in. But I think for the most part, we're going to let these two hardware know it alls duke it out as they dive into the game news for the coming week. For myself, DBQ Hams and Taomaster99, this has been the Enough to Keep Going podcast here on the E2KG network. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for diving in along the way, popping in and out, and hopefully enjoying some of our shows over the last 200. And if you haven't, welcome. Hopefully you enjoy the next 200. All right, everybody. Play the games you love. Love those you play with. Take care of those around you. Good night.
Oh, for sure.